While MAGA diehards keep chanting, "We don't care," every time someone points out the cost of Donald Trump's policies, international tourists are quietly delivering the one response that matters in Trump's America, which is they're not coming to the United States for vacations. We have new data now from the World Travel and Tourism Council. The U.S. is on track to lose over $12 billion in international travel spending this year. That's a decline of 7%. It's not because suddenly the sand on the beaches is no good. It's not because the theme parks got rid of everybody's favorite ride. It's because the rest of the world sees what the United States under Donald Trump has become: expensive, hostile, and unstable. And they're voting with their passports. Of the 184 countries surveyed, the U.S. is the only one with an absolute decline in international visitor spending. According to the WTTC's CEO, quote, "The U.S. has firmly got a 'we're not open for business' sign right now." And that's correct. Germany has updated its travel advisory after several Germans were detained at the U.S. border. Canada, which used to be exempt from most of the short-term visa requirements, now has to register and submit fingerprints for any visit longer than 30 days. That's new under Donald Trump. You've got Canadian Airlines canceling routes due to declining demand. Vehicle traffic at land crossings is down significantly from Canada. So these are not anecdotes. This is an economic warning siren. The largest travel economy in the world is bleeding visitors. And MAGA's response is always, "So what? We don't want sissy Europeans and liberal Canadians coming here." Well, one of the things that you have to understand is that overseas visitors spend 7 to 8 times more than domestic tourists when they come to the United States. Canadian visitors spend 3 times more than Americans when Canadians vacation in the United States, and we're losing a bunch of them. So when conservatives and right-wingers brush this off as, "Oh, globalists are scared and liberals are whining," they are not understanding the math. This isn't about politics. It's about dollars. It's about cities losing tourism jobs. It's about entire regional economies built on foreign travel drying up. And you can't own the libs with a bankrupt hotel. That is what decline looks like. And it is completely self-inflicted because of Trump's policy of punish, restrict, and intimidate.
Foreign tourists are still coming into the United States. In spite of Donald Trump, in spite of the enhanced border security, in spite of the horror stories we have heard from foreign tourists being detained and then deported back to their countries because they didn't book a hotel for their entire stay, people are still coming into the United States. However, it is far less than what we have seen since COVID, when travel returned to normal. And in fact, it is now being predicted that this year we could see a 10% reduction in the number of foreign tourists coming into the United States. And you may not think that's a big deal, right? Okay, 10%. Whoa, big whoop. What is that going to do? Well, according to economists and financial analysts and the labor market, it's going to cost us 250,000 jobs, and it's going to erase $23 billion from our GDP. We have already seen this year a massive reduction in the number of people from foreign countries willing to come into the United States. And yes, it is all because of Donald Trump. Some of them do not want to come in because they're unhappy about his trade war. Some of them don't want to come in because they're terrified of what the United States has become. And a lot of them don't want to come in, of course, because of this so-called enhanced border security that is sending well-meaning tourists to federal detention centers. You can't really blame them for that, right? Like people not wanting to come in because there's a chance ICE could just lock you away for a week with no explanation. I wouldn't do that. So yeah, we have this massive reduction that is going to cost us tens of billions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of jobs. And if you don't think this is having an impact, let me give you a quick example of what's happening in 2 separate areas of the United States that are typically hotbeds for foreign tourists. Those 2 happen to be Orlando, Florida, and Las Vegas, Nevada. If you watch any videos right now, and there's a lot of people that do content like this, I love Vegas, I go there frequently, so I see them all the time in my, algorithm, they will show you videos of the Strip being empty. These massive, Las Vegas casino resorts that are typically teeming with life on a Friday night. They're not even at a quarter of capacity. There's nobody there. And yes, that is a city that absolutely depends on those foreign tourists. Down in Orlando, Universal Studios just opened up a new park, Epic Universe. Grand opening, right? May 22nd. I check my app because I go to the parks frequently as well. And the wait times at this new park, with the exception of one Harry Potter ride, because you still have those Harry Potter grown-ups, 15 minutes. For a brand new theme park in the theme park capital of the world, 15 minutes for a brand new ride that you guys have been hyping for over a year? There's videos I saw yesterday. Foreign tourists are still coming into the United States. In spite of Donald Trump, in spite of the enhanced border security, in spite of the horror stories we have heard from foreign tourists being detained and then deported back to their countries because they didn't book a hotel for their entire stay, people are still coming into the United States. However, it is far less than what we have seen since COVID, when travel returned to normal. And in fact, it is now being predicted that this year we could see a 10% reduction in the number of foreign tourists coming into the United States. And you may not think that's a big deal, right? Okay, 10%, whoa, big whoop. What is that going to do? Well, according to economists and financial analysts and the labor market, it's going to cost us 250,000 jobs, and it's going to erase $23 billion from our GDP. We have already seen this year a massive reduction in the number of people from foreign countries willing to come into the United States. And yes, it is all because of Donald Trump. Some of them do not want to come in because they're unhappy about his trade war. Some of them don't want to come in because they're terrified of what the United States has become. And a lot of them don't want to come in, of course, because of this so-called enhanced border security that is sending well-meaning tourists to federal detention centers. You can't really blame them for that, right? Like people not wanting to come in because there's a chance ICE could just lock you away for a week with no explanation. I wouldn't do that. So yeah, we have this massive reduction that is going to cost us tens of billions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of jobs.
This goes out to all my people who have plans to come to the United States or want to come travel to the United States and are like on the fence about it and don't know what to do with everything going on here. Don't come. My recommendation is to 100% boycott this country. Do not spend any money here. Do not plan any travels here. Show them that the world does not need the United States, because they don't. So please just boycott. Boycott and...
I am so glad that I've canceled all travel to the United States. The news just beeped up that the Orange Man has just canceled all negotiations for trade with Canada. Once again, he's just a bully, and a failed bully, and a misogynist, and a convicted felon, and of course I think 6 bankruptcies. And now he's started war in the Middle East after promising, of course, peace all over the world. And at one point he thought Putin should be the arbitrator of peace. But even more seriously, a Canadian died in an ICE detention center in Florida, a Canadian citizen. So that is on them. That is murder, or it certainly is neglect. I read the other day about a woman of Guatemalan origin not given prenatal care and losing her child and being forced to have a stillbirth in detention. This is how horrible it is. This is so inexcusable. And if you can broaden your feed a little bit, just to get news sources from different areas, read all the quotes that keep showing up from Anne Frank, looking out her window during Nazi occupation, saying men with their faces covered are taking people. That's what this feels like. So from a trade point of view, once again, it is time for us just to boycott. We need to call on Danielle Smith here and Scott Moe. Don't try and suck up to any of this. Boycott everything you can, ban everything you can. Everything must be on the table. Canadian oil, potash, but also really good conversation yesterday about perhaps our automobile industry pivoting and finally building a true Canadian car. If that does happen, may I ask for something all-wheel drive that works here in the mountains? But there is some hope. Our country seems to be doing okay Certainly tourism is booming and Canada is quite united right now, but it is just awful what is happening south of the border, and it is awful the instability that the President of the United States has caused around the world. I mean, and he somehow wants the Nobel Peace Prize. He should be in jail.
America faces a tourism crisis in 2025. Foreign visitors choose safer, easier destinations. The last time I checked at the actual numbers of cancellations to the United States, it was over 1 million foreign travelers, both business travelers and people coming for fun. About a month ago, it was predicted that we were going to lose almost $13 billion in tourism alone in the United States of America. Were you planning on coming to the United States and you've canceled your travel, either as a Canadian or from another country? People following me, did you know there is a boycott of the United States of America? Do you know that tourism is a huge industry in the United States of America, and it is top industry in places like Las Vegas and different places? It is going to be catastrophic and devastating to our economy. It will ripple through because it will cause layoffs, it will cause businesses to close, it will cause no hiring. It is going to be an avalanche that at this point, I don't know if we can stop. Forget about the ICE raid, people dying in detention centers that are from other countries. It is not looking good for tourism in 2025.
Did Trump just end Newsom's political career? He announced in the middle of the night that the U.S. military just went into the state of California and turned the water on. And what was Newsom saying for a few days? He's crazy. It's not that easy. You can't just turn a faucet on and the water's gonna flow. It doesn't work like that. That's exactly what they did. They just went in and they turned the water on and the water's flowing. And he said, we're not gonna have political arguments about things that need to get done. We're just gonna get them done. Just like that. How does anybody ever take anything for face value that comes out of Newsom's mouth? How does anybody ever vote for him again? He was purposely keeping the water from the people of California. After the disaster, after everything, he was still like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have one message for America.
Welcome to Afghanistan. So yesterday I ended up doing a video, and that video is pretty much going viral. It's almost at 1 million views already. My question was, to anyone that ended up viewing that video, my question was not specifically about Afghanistan, but my question was, where do you want to go in the world? Like, where do you want to go on vacation to? Because there are so many beautiful places in the world, including places in Afghanistan. But I also brought up places in China, places in Europe, places all over the world. I also kind of mentioned, anyone that says they want to come to a vacation here in America, there ain't shit really here for you, honestly. And I mean, right now, with what is going on currently in America, I'm pretty sure you're going to end up getting arrested and detained if you don't have the proper skin color. But that's besides the point. That video I ended up doing, like I stated, it is almost at 1 million views right now. That video opened up a can of worms. I have people messaging me, asking me to get them a visa. I have people fighting amongst each other in the comments. Just going crazy. Absolutely. I didn't realize that video would reach as far as it has. there's not even a lot of like American people talking on that video. There's a lot of people from the Middle East. There's a lot of people in Europe. There's a lot of people in China. It's outrageous how far that video has reached. I think when it comes down to like, you know, the percentage of like how many people viewed that video here in America, I think it's all the way down to like 10%. I'm not even joking. Man, we fucking going, yo. We going worldwide in this bitch.
And a lot of the reasons why we're seeing job cuts 75% more now than they were this time under the Biden administration also is Canada led an international boycott against the United States of America. We're not buying your products if you treat us like crap. You want to test us, Donald? International tourism boycott. We're not going to the United States. Las Vegas is suffering. Florida is suffering. Arizona, lots of states are suffering because Canadians, Palm Springs is suffering. Canadians would normally be traveling to the United States. They're skipping over and going to Mexico, or they're going elsewhere. And Canada is buying Canada. They're not buying American products. They've inspired Australia to do the same. What's up, Midas Mates? They've inspired Europe to do the same, and Africa and elsewhere to do the same.
Thank Donald Trump for the boycott that we're currently receiving in the United States from Canadians. I know most of you may not be feeling this or may not see it yet, completely unaware because you don't see it in your daily life. But just let me tell you this. I had a couple of riders this week, both from Toronto. Both are coming down to see family. One had a newborn baby in the family, and the trip had been scheduled for a while, and the other had a sick family member that they needed to come see. And they both told me basically these stories. Number one, that when they went to the airport, that the U.S. Customs, and for Canada, you get on the U.S. Customs in Canada, that there was like nobody in line, and that both planes were like half full as opposed to being completely full. And usually there's a 2-hour wait or more that they told me. They also told me that because of Donald Trump, and because of his tariffs with Canada and the way that they have been treated by Trump, they are boycotting every single product in Canada that is made in the United States. You can go to the grocery stores in Canada, and there would be where the U.S. products, for example, Lay's potato chips, and all the chips and all the stuff from the U.S. completely full. Not a one. They're on sale. She said they're on sales price for $2.97. Nobody's touching it. The Canadian chips, the Canadian food, all the Canadian